Greetings everybody, it's Rob from the Sage Tower and we're here with some Skull and Bones content. This content was recorded during the open beta weekend that we just recently had over the last weekend, so I wanted to give my thoughts a bit about the game and just kind of discuss it while showing some footage from my time during the beginning parts of the open beta. I'll kind of be quiet now and I'll let the cutscene kind of play out a bit for you guys.
Nations rule the seas and dominate the world's valuable trade routes. With an iron fist, they forge a path of tyranny and exploitation, igniting a battle for global supremacy. From the Indian Ocean, a flood of exotic goods feed new addictions and fill coffers with coins tainted in blood. And where there is blood, there are predators.
Alright, so as you kind of see, the game does take place in the Indian Ocean. From what I gathered, they kind of went back and forth on the different locations for where they wanted to actually have this game take place throughout development. And the game does start you off in this kind of tutorial experience, like throws you in the mix of this kind of story mission, so to speak. Now, I know anybody who's been looking into this game online, looking into the game kind of reviews and comments, that a lot of people, there is a lot of negative comments about the game. A lot of people were expecting it to be this kind of sequel to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, a new modern take on Sea of Thieves, and this game definitely doesn't have some of the features or quality of things that people were really looking for from those other games. So as you can kind of see, the naval combat in this game is pretty, I would say, kind of straightforward in terms of the basics of the combat. It's very much up, you click to kind of zoom in and aim, and then you kind of shoot, and depending on the ship you have different weapons equipped with different slots. There is no ground combat, there is no like hand-to-hand combat, which I know a lot of people weren't a fan of, but the combat loop I think is still pretty strong in terms of gameplay. You can see that the game does play quite smooth. The ships do look quite nice, and yeah, you can't really look too much on your ship personally, but being able to kind of zoom in, get these different angles, different shots is quite interesting. And even this is kind of the quote-unquote story mission to start the game off, I think they do this to kind of really show you guys how crazy naval combat can be, because there's multiple ships, all different sides attacking you. The battle is crazy, it's wild, you don't really know what's really happening. You focus too much on one side, something else happens from another side. So I think they kind of are doing those things where they really show you what the game can be before they kind of knock you down to that like level 1 character that you start the game off as. Which I'm okay with. Games that do that kind of give you that little taste, so you have that little like teaser that's saying, look, even though the early battles may be pretty straightforward, pretty easy, this is what we're going for, like these intense naval battles. And from what I've gathered, you can play cooperative in like with like a group of 3, kind of run a small group of 3 kind of fleet. And the one thing I would say about this particular mission is I would have liked to either like see the kind of health bar for the ship I'm shooting, or just kind of, because at first I wasn't sure if I was supposed to pass this mission or not. I'm like, am I doing something wrong here? Like, am I supposed to aim for a specific spot? Am I supposed to do something different? Like, they didn't really clearly state that. So that part was a bit tricky, but eventually I kind of figured out, this wasn't a mission that I was supposed to quote unquote win. Like, this was really just to let you have fun with the game. Now, this game does have got a bit of price tag to it. I know the premium edition for this game is like $80 and it comes with like a few days of early access and all these additional features and stuff. And yes, Ubisoft CEO did kind of make a comment that doesn't help the game. Calling it a quadruple A game doesn't help this game at all. Let's be honest. Like, that's putting it in the range of like Baldur's Gate and these kind of Elden Ring, those kind of big games. And I don't see this game hitting those levels, especially with all the negative comments and feedback this game has been getting. And I think some of it is unjustified. It's really people having different expectations than what they wanted from the game. This game is straight up a naval combat game. It is focused purely on seafaring, naval combat. There is some ground aspects to it, but your battling, your exploration is through on your ship. For that part, you do that part, in my opinion, pretty decently. So, that I will give them. And you gotta think, there are some games that when it came out on launch, they didn't do that good, and then, you know, give them a year or two and the game became really popular and really strong. And I can see Sea of Thieves, not Sea of Thieves, Skull and Bones doing something like that, where people may not look at this game right away and think, oh, this is going to be great, but in a year's time, who knows, in a year's time this game could be mind-blowingly really good and crazy. We've seen the roadmap with everything going on with that. This was the sign when I knew stuff was going to go bad, when I can see that I was getting blown up by this kind of cutscene. So that was my kind of indication to see that this was the cutscene for it. So as it kind of goes in, I will briefly talk a bit about the roadmap. There's, you know, there's kind of like seasons. I think people will have related it a bit to the kind of like the seasons from The Division, where there's like a raid boss and, you know, special drops and customizable loot and stuff that you can get. So that is interesting to me, because I always liked The Division, but I never got into it too late into it, so I never really did got too much into it. Now, the game starts off. This is bits are kind of weird because they show you this part before you do the character creation, which is kind of weird because like your character could literally change skin color from that cutscene. And I'm gonna so you'll see now here that the video for the character creation is kind of sped up a bit, just to kind of get a bit through as I stumble through the menus. At first glance, I didn't quite know what I was doing, so that's why I decided I'm not gonna subject you guys to watching me figure out these menus. The options are kind of okay for character customization. They're not wildly great, but they do enough. I will say this character, which you'll see when I actually, at one point when you can see my character, I'm a bit surprised that if you pick the portly body type, your character is portly. Like, a lot of times when you pick the big guy body type, it's more muscular than fat. But they didn't do it for this game. Like, if you pick that body type, you can see you have cheeks, you have a belly, like you are a big chubby pirate. And I'm okay with that. Like, it's cool. I mean, it is a bit weird when you have a lot of outfits that have the kind of shirt jacket open. So almost gives me that kind of Blackbeard from One Piece vibe kind of look, in my opinion. There are some customizations here that are a bit weird. The kind of the scars, the back, the markings and stuff. You didn't really get to see your body in this kind of character creation, but it's okay. I would have preferred personally if they just kind of gave us a normal character creation screen. I understand they're doing this kind of like look in the water to see your reflection. Looks nice, but I'm not. I just give me a nice clean character selection screen. So I'm curious to see what your guys' characters that you guys made were. Certainly, let me know how you guys liked the character creation screen, and if you guys made any unique kind of things you came up with. I kind of went with this like brown hair, kind of like silver eyes. It was kind of this, bit mysterious, but very piratey look. I think that fits quite well, if you ask me. So for this next part, I'm gonna probably talk a bit over this because you may have seen some of this if you've seen the reviews in the comments, that the voice acting for this game is something that we need to talk about. And I'll pause a bit just to let this cat.
The British and the forbid them. I blame Captain Russell for steering us to these cursed shallows.
We survived the battle, and now you arrived to help crew the Dow. I would say our fortune's on the rise, no?
So what I want to highlight here in this cutscene is the fact that, I don't know why, but this opening cutscene, the voiceover work, the dialogue looks really janky for some reason. I don't know why. But when I saw these two, I knew that was coming up. You could see the kind of old school, like AI kind of, not AI, but the old school kind of computer NPC talking, the way they kind of model the character to move and do everything. And it just seemed very robotic, I would say, kind of the best way to describe it. I don't know why that cutscene is that bad. Most of the other ones aren't as bad. Like, I know there's a lot of ones when you talk with Skurlock at St. Anne. I feel like Skurlock moves a lot smoother, personally, than those two do on that raft. I do not know why. It's really strange. But, that being said, the game does kind of give you a nice little opening. And this is a cool little way to start the game, seeing the wreckage of your previous ship. Basically, the way that the game kind of starts off is that you are the survivor from that wreckage, and you're kind of piecing yourself back together, and eventually kind of becoming your own pirate captain, so to speak. Now here you'll see what I'm talking about in terms of kind of the ground aspect of this game. When you have certain spots that you can disembark at, and you can go talk with people. And it's not where you can just park your ship wherever you want. There's certain locations. Another thing some people didn't like, in my opinion, I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think it's a bad thing. This cutscene, for instance, just to highlight, just to bring it back to it, isn't as terrible. But the guy's mouth is a bit weird when you look at it too closely. But overall, it's getting better. Like, that first one was a bit weird, this one's getting better. And overall, I think that I don't mind the fact that we have these cutscenes. It is what it is. It's a Ubisoft game. They're not terrible. They're not gonna break the game for me. I don't know why some people get so upset over that. Now you can see how my character looks. He does have a little meat on his bones, quite a good meat, and so that's why I was a bit surprised. I was like, oh damn, like they normally don't fully flesh you out like that in these games. So I commend them for that. You can see here how they kind of give us these quests, and I like how they kind of, they kind of show you the rewards. They give that whole big contract accepted thing to kind of start the quest, give you a bit for tracking. There is some stuff you can do here on land as well, like gather resources and stuff. But at the beginning part, it's pretty much just quite straightforward. And this is me just kind of going through the settings, just I think this part I left in just because I don't know if it was my take. I don't know if you guys felt similar, but when I was on foot, I felt like my field of view wasn't as big as it should have been. I thought maybe I felt like I was too zoomed in to really see everything, but I got used to it as the game progressed. So I kind of kept it as is. I didn't feel like stretching. I didn't want to break, especially with a multi-monitor setup kind of deal.
We need to get Skurlock's cargo.
So I don't know, that was just me. If you guys felt that way, let me know in the comments as well.
Must strike fast.
And you're kind of off, kind of going on doing these quests, finding this stuff. In the first ship you get, which is this, the Dow, this kind of ship that we have here, it is this kind of basic ship. And this is interesting that you can hunt sharks. And as you can see, sharks hurt quite a bit. And it's actually kind of a cool thing, really, that you can like do this, and the sharks aren't too bad in terms of like chasing you, like visually. So I don't mind that. I thought that was a nice touch. One funny part you will see throughout the beta, in this video and in the next video, or on the Twitch stream, if I kind of chop that up, is, for the most part, in the beta at least, a lot of people seem to use the same ships. Because you basically, you know, everybody gets the Dow at the beginning, everybody then gets the next ship. The name of it slipping my mind right now, but it's the DPS ship. So I kind of skipped a bit just to kind of show that I didn't want you guys to watch me just kind of going around aimlessly collecting resources from the water, which isn't too bad. It's not like you have to go down and get it. You just kind of have to go up past it, hit F if you're on the PC to kind of loot the product. At the beginning, and I think I still may be doing it here, to be honest, I didn't realize that I had to press F to loot. I thought if I just, like, you know, kind of went over it, I would pick it up automatically. So that was me kind of not realizing that I think it even says F loot. I totally missed that part. So that was on me. Yeah, I'm trying to get the hang of fishing, and it's definitely tricky. I do get better at it throughout this part, but I think there are easier ways you can, you know, obviously when you get to be like a full-fledged pirate, you could just buy the meat, but it's still cool to actually hunt your own meat and collect it. So I don't mind that. This part, I think, is when I actually land at this island. I didn't really see this island. I wasn't really sure what was going on here. You can see me kind of collect the resources like I mentioned previously. And again, I don't know how you guys feel about the ground aspect of this game. Like, is it outstanding? Is it amazing? No, it's not. I admit that. It's very basic. But I'm not really looking for that. The one thing I would like to see, personally, is maybe a bit more social aspect of the game on the ground area, especially in St. Anne's. Like being able to, you know, talk. There are emotes in the game. Being able to like kind of gather with fellow pirates, I think would be really cool. I think that would be a nice touch, personally. I think that if you're able to do that, or even maybe we can have like our own like hideouts, pirate hideouts, and you can kind of gather groups there to talk and meet. I think that would be cool. Or maybe like a pirate cove, and like all your ships could kind of dock and gather there. That would be a nice touch. But I don't need this whole like, you know, going around on the ground to like have to be that much crazier. Again, because the whole point is, this is you're in between to break up what you really came here for, which is ship combat. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are. And you can see me kind of just testing out, seeing what's, you know, at the beginning when you're just kind of learning the game, figuring out what you can do. Here I can see like what I can cook, what I can cook. Food does help your ship like with stamina. so it's always good to cook. I don't think I cook everything here, just because I'm a bit of a hoarder when I don't know what resources are good. I'm like, oh, maybe shark meat would be good for something else. And this is cool that they kind of give you some of this lore stuff. Again, I don't think it's relevant to the game overall, but it's just cool to kind of see this story setting thing. Now, as we kind of explore these islands, I'm going to eventually kind of get back to that quest NPC that previously had sent me on this mission to collect pieces from the shipwreck. Now, this guy's kind of annoying. I'm glad that we don't have to really deal with him much after this, I believe. But I'm going to let this kind of part play out. And then I'm going to pick it up with the next video. Kind of continuing a bit of the story, break up into 2 different parts. So see you in part 2 of my thoughts.
But I cannot say the same for you. After I tell him about the captain who failed to protect his cargo. Find your own way to St. Anne, chum sniffer. I don't owe you a sliver up your ass, especially when mine's on the line. Why don't you ask Captain Rassler? His bloated corpse might know the way. Now fuck off, built rat.